It would be good to have an overview of the different approaches. We call it a multimodality approach of Maharishi AyurVeda, or we could also say Maharishi's Vedic approach to health, covering the total range of natural law from the unmanifest level of the unified field to the more expressed levels, and finally to the physiology and then the environment and the whole universe. So I want to show a chart which has some resemblance to the unified field chart and shows the different modalities of Maharishi AyurVeda. It's called Total Knowledge of Health, Multimodality approach of Maharishi AyurVeda, covering the whole range of natural law, balancing all levels of health. On the left side, we see the different levels of health, and the right side, the preventive and therapeutic modalities. And before we go into details, at the bottom, it says then, perfect health and invincibility is only possible at the level of the unified field of all the laws of nature, which lies at the basis of environmental, social, behavioral, physiological, cellular, genetic and mental health. In short, Maharishi AyurVeda is unified field-based medicine or consciousness-based medicine, restoring the connection between the body and its source in consciousness. Now, when we look at the different levels of health, because we are speaking about total knowledge of health, so we have to cover all areas. Here the level of the environment, cosmic and environmental health, social, collective health, behavioral, mental and physiological health, biochemical level, finally on the cellular, genetic, molecular and quantum mechanical level, and then on the unified field, the level of the unified field, where we have this supersymmetry between the different force and matter fields, the unified field of all the laws of nature. And we can also now go to the right side. There we see the different preventive and therapeutic modalities, starting with Vedic astrology, Jyotish and Yagya, public health and world peace, the large group of yogic flyers, then Vedic architecture, Maharishi Veda, and then we have the different Ayurvedic aspects like Panchakarma, Ayurvedic purification therapy, Ayurvedic massage therapy, including Abhyanga and Kalari and Marma therapy. This relates to the department of Ayurvedic massage therapy, Kalari and Marma therapy, which has been inaugurated. That means actually it has already been existing, but at Dhanvantari Day we have asked Dr. Ernst Schrott to become the co-director of this department together with Vaidya Sichu, and we will in March we will offer the first course for health professionals in Maharishi Marma therapy. Then of course yoga therapy, yoga asanas and pranayama, Ayurvedic diet and herbal therapy, Dravya Guna, use of daily and seasonal routines, Dinacharya and Ritucharya, then the therapeutic use of all the five senses, Vedic aromatherapy, that means Maharishi aromatherapy, then color and light therapy, Maharishi light therapy with gems, sound and music therapy, Maharishi Vedic sound technology, and Maharishi Vedic vibration technology and Gandharva Veda. And here also we have the model of Vedic physiology, which is a visual display of Maharaja's discovery of the correspondence between the Vedic sounds and the human body. and then meditation therapy, transcendental meditation, advanced program, and the DM-City program. And finally, corresponding to the unified field, here we have the level of our own self, Atma. Swastha means to be healthy, or swasthya, the state of health, established in one's own self, the state of perfect health, transcendental consciousness. So here we have again the total range of natural law, different levels of health and the different preventive and therapeutic modalities. And in the next chart we can divide those levels of health in a few areas, starting from the level of pure being, the level of the mind, including the finest emotional level, feeling and intellect, and then the body, behavior, society and environment. And the different therapies of Maharishi AyurVeda cover all these areas. Here we have the same, now the same divisions, but adding a few new words, because this whole area from the unified field to all the expressed levels is one continuous wholeness, but still we can have these divisions, and the bottom, Atma, and then Veda, Sharia, the body, and Vishwa, the universe. And if all these areas are lively in our physiology, then we can speak about total knowledge, Brahm, the totality. So from this it is clear that health includes all areas of life, from individual health, collective health, health of the whole society or world peace, and all the environmental aspect. Now, when we speak about these terms, Atma, Veda, Sharia, just want to bring this in a slightly different expression. We can here see this sequential evolution of natural law, starting here from self-referral consciousness, Atma, and then when consciousness is aware of itself, then we have these vibrations of consciousness, fluctuations of consciousness. This is the level, on the level of speech, the Vedic sounds, and then gets further expressed, more concrete expression of consciousness in the body, the Sharia, and then further expression of consciousness in the ever-expanding universe, Vishwa, and Atma fully awakened Veda, Sharia and Vishwa. Then we can speak about Brahm, the totality. And from that it is clear that self-referral consciousness, or Atma, is the basis of physiology. And if we want to achieve health, then we have to treat the basis, because consciousness is the basis of physiology. Or in other words, the structures of our physiology have their origin in the structures of our own consciousness. What are the structures of our consciousness? Of course, it's a little bit unusual that when we speak that consciousness is a structure, but Maharishi has said that it is very clear that when consciousness, as he defines it, consciousness is that which is conscious of itself, and in this moment we have a structure of three elements. Consciousness, the knower, the known is also consciousness, and the process of known is also consciousness. So in this case the three are one, but still one can speak of threes. What is the three in one paradox? as Maharishi has called it. And this structure of consciousness reflects then in the structures of the physiology. As Maharaja has shown in his book, you can see the three basic structures, the information units in the body, the processing units and the structuring units, and in Ayurvedic terms, Vata, Pitta and Kapha. So when we speak of Vata, Pitta, Kapha in the physiology as the basic principles which govern all activities in our body, then the origin is in consciousness. Knower, known, and the process of knowing, or Rishi Devata in Chandas. And the textbook of the Maharishi College of Perfect Health is Maharaja's book, Human Physiology, Expression of Veda and the Vedic Literature. The basic conclusion is that everyone is cosmic. Everyone has this cosmic potential in itself on the basis of one's own self-referential consciousness. And the speciality is of Maharishi AyurVeda, the discovery of Maharaja, that consciousness is the basis of the physiology, and we have also here the application of this knowledge for prevention and cure. It's a discovery that there is an unlimited reservoir of energy and intelligence within the physiology of everyone. Now I want to come back to the original chart and now add some new element. And it has already been mentioned, this connection between the individual and the cosmos. Tata Pinde, Tata Brahmande. As is the point, so is the universe. Or as is the macrocosmos, so is the microcosmos. And in Ayurvedic terms, it is a very famous principle. It is called Loca, Purusha, Samia. Loca means the universe, the environment, the planets, but in this case the whole universe. Purusha here means not the transcendental, silent witnessing quality, but here in that sense Ayurveda speaks of the man, the human being. Purusha, so Loka, Purusha, Samia. Samia means it's equal. So this is, in a short expression, shows the connection between the individual and its environment, the whole universe. And all the different therapies of Ayurveda can be seen also under this viewpoint to bring this balance between the individual intelligence and cosmic intelligence. See here, and Maharaja has this beautiful shown in his discovery on several levels. Here is just one where he has shown that the basal ganglia, that means the deep-seated nuclei in the brain, have a direct relation to the 9 grahas in Jyotisha. So that means the basal ganglia, the cerebral cortex, the cranial nerves, and the brainstem. So this is only one aspect here showing the basal ganglia and the 9 grahas, showing the intimate connection between the individual and the universe. And as Maharishi has also called them, these are the so-called cosmic counterparts. And now let's look what Ayurveda says about that. So here we have this principle of Loka, Purusha, Samya, that everyone has this cosmic potential. And for example, in the state of yoga, union, means they're aligning individual physiology with cosmic physiology. Or here some quote directly from Charaka Sharirastan 5, where it says, "The man is the epitome of the universe, and within man there is as much diversity as in the world outside. Similarly, the outside world is as diverse as human beings." Or another quote, "Seeing the entire universe in the self and vice versa gives rise to true knowledge." So this is this principle. Now when we come back again to this overview chart, I want to introduce another aspect. And also Maharishi said study of medicine means study of the physiology and its source in consciousness.
Beautiful.
So both things have always to be included. And it's good to see all the different approaches of Maharishi AyurVeda under that angle. And so I thought it's good also to look into the Ayurvedic text and see where these the expressions which are used there in Charak. And now there is another way also in Ayurveda to classify all types of therapies or chikitsa, and this we can in three broad areas. And again we will see that Maharishi AyurVeda covers all these three areas. So let's have a short look again at the slide. These are a little bit complicated names. So these three broad categories of therapy in Ayurveda are Daiva Vyaprashaya, or in a very broad sense translated as spiritual therapies, Yukti Vyaprashaya, rational therapies. That means when you do some very on a gross physical level, either some massage or take some medicine, and Sattva Vichaya, psychological therapies. That means Vichaya to conquer the mind, or Sattva. Sattva here means also in that connection the mind. And what I wanted to indicate with these arrows, that all these different therapies which we have mentioned, they are covered from this state of least excitation of consciousness, from this level of swasthya, where we are established in oneself. Every of these therapies, or preventive and therapeutic modalities, have an effect on a certain level of health, a very specific level. So that we can specifically achieve some balancing effect. But in addition, all enliven the inner intelligence of the body and start to heal from within. So a very unspecific effect is always achieved by reaching this state of least excitation of consciousness. Therefore, all therapies are always consciousness-based approaches. That means we have to increase the level of self-referralness to these different approaches, because only then it's a holistic effect on the level of health. For example, on this principle of self-referral, when we say very on a gross level, in the diet you should only eat when you are hungry, then how do you find out if you are hungry? You have to ask yourself, you have to listen to yourself. Or another level of self-referral, when we do the self-pulse reading, then there's a loop, we are observing ourselves, and this has also a healing effect in itself. In this connection, when we feel the pulse, then one could say we just feel the pulsation of the pumping of the heart, or we could say we feel the different aspects of the doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. But Maharishi said when we feel the pulse, we actually feel the origin of the doshas, and the origin of the doshas is in consciousness. So we are feeling the pulsation of consciousness within these three aspects. Knower, known and known, or Rishi, Devata, Chandas. And having the attention there has an enlivening and balancing effect in itself. Maharishi refers to this the principle of measurement theory in physics, where it is known that the very act of measuring something has an effect. You cannot just observe something without not having an effect. And this we find on several ways in the different approaches. For example, when we do Maharishi Yoga Asanas and Pranayama, when we do the Yoga Asanas and we bend and stretch, then we just go as far as when we feel something, and then we have our attention there and consciousness is there, and this enlivens that area and brings it again in balance. And of course the greatest effect of increasing self-referentialness is when we are transcending. During our program of Transcendental Meditation and the TM City program. But to some extent, all these different approaches have this component that they increase the amount of self-referentialness, because they are all consciousness-based. And maybe we just can go back to that chart last time. So these arrows show that then the effect is on all areas of life. And this explains also why this one experience of transcending is causing such a vast area of benefits in the physiology and in the research. How is it possible that just these few moments of silence reduce asthma attacks, or then you can sleep better, or reduce the high blood pressure and reduces headache, and so many effects, and even the environmental effect, the 1% effect. So this is only possible because this is the ground state of our own consciousness, which we know has very interesting parallels what physics describes as the unified field of all the laws of nature, and therefore it is possible to have this far-reaching effect. Yeah, so this was an overview of these different therapies and this principle that consciousness, being self-referral, starts to express itself in these Vedic sounds, Vedic vibrations, and further appears as the physiology, and then further as the whole universe. But actually it's only consciousness moving and expanding. So these were the main points of the covering, giving an overview of the different approaches of Maharishi AyurVeda. One last slide I want to show, a definition of perfect health by Maharishi. When the total intelligence of natural law, Veda, is lively in the individual physiology, there is perfect synchrony between the functioning of every individual cell and the holistic functioning of the body as a whole, and between individual intelligence and cosmic intelligence. In this state of complete integration, all thought and action are spontaneously in harmony with natural law, and the individual enjoys perfect health. Because when we have so many different areas to cover in the physiology, one would ask you, how can this be integrated? And there Maharishi says, the doctor or Vaidya, but this means actually everyone, has to be the embodiment of love And this can only be on the level of infinite correlation, infinite flexibility, filled with bliss, endowed with love. The attention of such an awareness will remedy any disorder. But we can also say the attention of ourselves on us, to how we behave with ourselves. Therefore, the doctor has to be a cosmic individual established in unity consciousness.